to the second episode of the How To Server series. In the first episode, we went up setting up your basic jar, getting some super basic configurations done. So if you need any help on how to start your server on your computer, join your server, how to optimize lag, go check out the video before. There will be a link in the top right corner, just right about now. So go check that out and then come back, because we are going to be building on top of that. I've not done anything off camera. Here is our server as we left it off last time. And today we are going to be jumping into probably the most important first plugin. So how I'm going to upload this plugin applies to every single plugin. Okay, you just drag and drop from either Spigot, MC Marketplace. If you made it yourself, then you probably know how to upload plugins. But if you made it yourself, you'd obviously just drag it and drop it the same way. So let's open up Chrome, and we are going to go to luckperms.net. So, this is the permissions manager I would recommend using. It is an amazing permissions manager. If you're super visual and you love to see things in a GUI or something like that, luckperms is amazing. So there are other things like Permissions X and Bungee Perms, which work relatively similar, but do require a little bit more thinking. And especially with Permissions X, you can go into configs and switch around permissions. You can do that in luckperms depending on how you set up the config, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the episode. But depending on how you set up your storage for your permissions, will give you the option to go around and either go into the files and change permissions directly, or if you don't want to deal with any of that, you can just leave it as the default. So we're just going to download, and then we're going to download the Bucket version. So we have a 1.16 paper jar, and if you remember from the first episode, Bucket is the base that paper is built on top of. So if a plugin says it's compatible for Bucket, it's compatible for paper as well. It's just how it works. If it works on Bucket, it works on paper. And you can say the same thing about Spigot as well. Spigot plugins will not work on Bucket, but they will work on paper. That's why paper is the best, because everything works on paper. But plugins designed for specifically Spigot Plus will not work on Bucket. Just something to keep in mind. So we will get into a bungee cord, the bungee cord version of luckperms in the bungee cord episode of this series. I think bungee cord is going to be like the 13th, 14th episode. So if you just want to know how to set up bungee cord for luckperms for your bungee cord server, just come back then. But everything is relatively the same no matter which version you choose. They're great about that. So we'll just jump straight into getting it set up. Okay, there's another jar in here for some reason, but we will delete that. Okay. So that's all we need to take from the website. That's it. We are going to come back to Chrome later, but for now, we will just start up our server and let it run. And while that's starting up, I will start up a Minecraft instance. Okay, so here you can see our server has started up, and it has generated our luckperms folders. So we're going to go in game and view a bunch of the in-game commands and whatnot in a bit, but in this area right here, there's only two things that you really need. Here is where your storage is, and then here is your configuration file. So, if you are using either a MySQL database, which we'll talk about later on in the series, maybe episode 16 or something, because it is a little bit more complex. If you're using a MySQL database that's provided by your hosting company, if you're using a hosting company, it is super simple. They just give you everything you need. So right here, you just switch storage method to MySQL. Then you fill in the IP that they give you, the address. It'll usually be something like your hosting provider, or like MySQL.your hosting provider, and then a port. So you just throw that in there. And then they'll usually give you a username, which for most hosting providers, I'm going to use Pebble as an example. It's just a mix between the email you registered with and a bunch of random numbers. And then the password is randomly generated. They'll give you that too, and it's just plug and play. So if you wanted to do MySQL through a hosting provider, super simple. You just fill in the blanks right there. But if you wanted to set it up on your own computer, it's a little bit more complicated, and we'll get into that later down the line. So that's what this global is right here. That's the name of the server. So if you were using a MySQL and you had more than one server pointed towards the same MySQL, you'd want to differentiate between the servers somehow. So this server is test, and then say we had a hub server, then we'd call that server hub. And it's just a way to set permissions per server. So we can get into that once we jump in game, but you can specify the server that a permission applies to. So say you only want somebody to be able to fly in hub. You would give them the fly permission from the fly plugin you're using, and then you'd type in the server is hub. And then if you wanted it to be a temp set, then you would set the time after that. So these are the storage types that I was talking about. If you would like to edit your config file and you want to go in there and change it yourself, you would change it to a YML, JSON, any of these really. I would prefer either a YML or a JSON. They're really easy to view, easy to understand, especially since a lot of other plugins use YML or JSON files. So those two are probably the easiest if you want to go through and edit them yourselves. But realistically, I would just keep it set at the default right here. It'll take care of everything for you. And then if you wanted to change your table prefix, this is for MySQL, it would go right there. And there's really nothing else you need to do in here. This whole thing is generally for MySQL. So MySQL or other database of equivalents. It's not necessarily for anything crazy, but just remember to save your configs before you obviously go through and have to redo something. So just remember localhost to connect to your server. Super simple. Okay. We're just going to go into GMC. We don't have essentials. Okay. So, I have already made myself an operator. And to start out, you will need to be an operator. So if you don't remember how to do that, go check on the first video, covers that, but just go into your console and type /op and then your username. And that will make you an operator. But you can't get started unless you're an operator. So, let's start. This is our default group. Okay, it comes with a default group, and that's it. And if we say we want to add ourselves to this group, okay, that's easy. So LP user your IGN parent add default. So now I am in the default group. So we can check that by LP user 8FA parent info. And I just have one parent, which is the default group. And you can click on it to remove it, and I guess we can remove it for now. So if you would like to create more groups, which obviously you will, the easiest way to do it is just type in LP editor. Wait a second, and it'll give you a link. Open this link into your Chrome. And now there's a ton here. Okay, so we have tracks, groups, and users. Users is just 8FA. You can see the permission I have is group default, and if you go into group, this is the default group. If you want to create a new group, we'd go here, group name, and then we'll call this owner. We'll set the weight to 100, and we don't need to worry about any of this. We can set the parent to default if we want owner to inherit default permissions. But if you have owner as just a display group and not as a actual permissions group, what I mean by that is if you plan on just being OP and just having this be your chat and tab format, then you don't need a parent. But if you do want to actually put permissions in here, I would recommend adding parents. We're not going to add any parents because we don't really have many groups for now, but I'm just going to create the group. And then we are going to add a weight to default because we don't want default to display above owner. So we're going to set default with a weight of 1 and just press enter and make sure it comes up in that little gray text right there, like that gray box. And then you press add over here. So now that the green means that it is being added. So you can also change it here. So you can change the expiration date. Say it is the 9th right now. So say we want it to be tomorrow, 23 hours from now. And then context is where you can assign servers and worlds. There's also other things you can do. Like if once we get into Discord SRV, you can make permissions only active if some specification is met. For example, if they have verified their account, then you would be able to make a kit available to them. So as a donator perk on your server, or as a perk for verifying on your Discord server, you could give players a kit that they could use like once a week for verifying on your server as an incentive for people to join your server and verify. So we are just going to say this permission will only work in world. So we haven't made any custom worlds yet. So our default world is just world. So add context. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because this is the weight. But for the demonstration, it doesn't really matter. We'll just on how, that's just how you add it. So let's make a few more groups. How about mod with a weight of 70. Then we'll do admin with a weight of 80. And we will do how about VIP with a weight of 10. That's not how you spell 10. Okay, 10. Okay. So now we have our groups made. And if you want default to show up at the bottom, you're going to have to reload your, not reload your page up here. You're going to have to save right over here. Make sure you always save. Then it's going to give you this link right here. Just click it, copy it, and go into game and just paste it in chat. You're going to see a ton of chat spam as it makes our groups, and then just go to LP editor and get a new link. And we can close out the link of the one before, and you can see all of our groups are here sorted properly. So we want VIP to be able to, let's add a parent. We want the parent to be default. And for moderator, for admin, we want their parent to be mod. And for owner, we want their parent to be admin. I just set owner to its own. Okay, admin. So if you click in this little text box, it's going to give you tons and tons and tons of permissions. It won't show them all, so you just kind of have to type and search. So say you want to broadcast. It'll give you all of the commands. It doesn't necessarily have to start with broadcast, but it'll give you all of the permissions that have broadcast in it. So let's add broadcast to VIP. And to moderator, we will give them the summon command. And in default, we will give them the ability to view the TPS of the server, but in VIP, we will not allow them to view the TPS. So it's set to false right there. I clicked false right here, and that means they cannot run this command. So let's just test a few of those. Okay, so to test this, I'm going to set myself to these specific groups. LP user 8FA parent set default. Okay, so with default, we should be able to view the TPS. Now, you have to remember that I am OP right now. So let's de-op ourselves from the console. Okay, so I'm no longer a server operator. Exactly what we want. And I'm in group default. So if I try and run the command TPS, it works. So you'll see that I cannot run these commands anymore. So let's just OP myself real quick so we can switch groups. And then we are going to set ourselves to VIP. Now, this is something that's really cool. luckperms takes priority over your op. So as you can see, I cannot run the command TPS. No matter how hard I try, I am currently an operator, but cannot run the command TPS, and that is because we denied the permission. We took the permission away, and we can view that LP group VIP permission info. So the red ones means it's denied, and the green ones mean it's active. But you don't have to just use the web editor. There's also in-game commands. So you can see LP group. Let's set something to the admin. Permission set Minecraft dot command dot what's a cool one? I don't have anybody to ban. Enchant. It's a fun one. So we just set enchant to admin. So that means that an admin will now be able to run the command /enchant and then just whatever they'd like to enchant. But it doesn't just have to be a group. You can set it to a specific user as well. Let's do bucket.commands.mspt. So you can also set true or false from in-game. We're going to set it to false. And then this is where you would set your other things. So like dimension type, nether. Or I guess a better one to demonstrate it would be world. Okay, I did mess that up a little bit. We're just going to unset that. So that's how you take a permission away. So the name of our server is test and then world. Okay. So here in chat you can see we set the permission MSPT to false for 8FA if they're on the server test and they are on the world. Okay, let's talk about cloning next. So if you would like to copy a group, LP group, let's say we want to copy admin and clone, and let's call our new clone senior admin. So now if we go LP user 8FA parent set, we have admin all the way down to senior admin. Perfect, just what we wanted. So let's set up tracks. Tracks are a way to manage ranks that go in an order. So we obviously have moderator, admin, senior admin, and then owner. Those ranks go in a rank, like go in an order. So let's just hop over to the LP editor again. And up here, we're going to go to tracks. We're going to create a new track, and this one's going to be called staff. So the groups we want to add are mod, senior admin, admin, and owner. This is wrong, so we would want it to go this way. So first you start in mod, then you go to admin, then you go to senior admin, then to owner. Add track. We're going to save that. And let's just throw that in game real quick. Okay. So, LP user 8FA parent set mod. LP user 8FA promote staff. So it's going to take me to the next role in staff. You can see that I went from mod to admin, and now I'm going from admin to senior admin. And we can just check to make sure that's true. LP user 8FA parent info. You can see I now have the senior admin rank, but I set myself to moderator. Now you can also demote people in your specific track. So I just went from senior admin to admin. Now this is a great way to deal with donator perks and donator ranks. But for luckperms, it is really there's really not too much that I can help you with. It's really you create the ranks that you want, add the permissions that you want. I can't tell you how to make this rank, and this rank, and add this permission to this rank and this rank, but deny. And there was just lightning over there. That was pretty cool. There was it's based on how you want to run your server. With that being said, Essentials is the next episode, so stick around for that. We're going to be driving deep into Essentials, and we're also going to be merging that with Placeholder API. So if you want a mix of the two, Essentials and Placeholder API, that will be next video. Two wonderful plugins. I hope you all come to join me next time. Thank you. This has been 8FA.